We are going to be talking about basically how New York media is navigating this very rocky period. Avi. Hello, sir. How are you?
No chairs? Wow,
no chairs. No chairs. Avi was with us at Moguls. I did my 5 takeaways. What was your one big one?
I think just confusion right now of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Impact of Facebook. I thought one conversation that was kind of continuous through the few days was video. Do you make a big play there? Are you willing to give away your IP or not? And I have to say the conference itself was arguably, and this is not just to blow smoke because I'm up here with an editor.
Oh, good. I thought it was going to go the opposite direction.
No. It was one of the most productive conferences of its type that I've been to. So really well done.
Great. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Kudos to us. So now that you've buttered me up, let's talk a little bit. So you've been at New York now for a year.
Yep.
Right? You were at Outbrain.
Yep.
So you'd been in publishing before. So give me about the differences of going vendor side, publishing side.
Yeah. So I think having worked at most of the major media houses, Condé Nast, Time Inc., Hearst, and it was finally like, okay, I'm gonna take the plunge. I'm gonna leave the industry. I'm gonna go into a tech startup, and I was at Outbrain for about 5 years. And this was great. I'll still keep my finger in the water of publishing because I get to still work with publishers, but I'm jumping ship. There's some major differences. I think the differences in terms of how management executes, the speed with how a startup works, constantly MVPing things, say, is this going to work or not? And if it does, investing in it quickly. But there are cons also, right? There's the, we think we know everything, but we've never done it before, and these bigger guys that are well-funded, they've got it, and how are we going to compete with that? So for me, it was an incredible experience. It was being part of a startup. It was a rocket ship, and it's still doing very well, knock on wood for them. But it was really interesting to come back into this world because I frankly didn't think I was going to come back to the world of publishing. I have a lot of respect for the companies I worked at. Looking at New York media, though, I think they had a unique take, and I think they essentially pioneered or helped pioneer really online publishing, where they had this iconic title that is New York Maagzine. It's 50 years old. A lot of people love it. But then they built an online portfolio versus going out and buying any number of other magazine brands that were on the chopping block, and there still are plenty on the chopping block that are available for sale today. They said, let's pivot from that. Let's keep our one magazine brand and create an online portfolio. And that was a decade ago.
So let's talk about the portfolio real quick of brands. Then we're going to move into the portfolio, the audience portfolio, and then everyone's favorite, the revenue portfolio.
The revenue, yes. We love talking about revenue in public. Sure.
But let's talk a little bit about the portfolio of brands for those who aren't completely familiar with all the different brands, because it's a house of brands.
It's a house of brands. So New York media, everyone always thinks, oh, you must be the New Yorker, or maybe it's New York Magazine. So it is New York Magazine, but our online brands include Vulture, which is an entertainment site, The Cut, which is women's lifestyle. We have something called The Strategist, which is our e-com play, which we'll talk about a little bit. Gosh, what else? We have something called Select All, which is a tech site. Science of Us, which is a health and wellness. So it's a pretty, Grub Street, food, Epicurean, yeah, you love Grub, yeah. So it's a pretty well-rounded portfolio of brands.
Okay, so audience portfolio.
Yeah.
Are you feeling the Facebook hit?
So interesting, so at the Moguls event, there was a lot of talk around Facebook and social and how everyone's getting hurt and you never know what's going to happen with Facebook. We're in a unique position. I think this speaks to being a premium publisher where you do have a loyal audience and you do have a brand recognition. We actually weren't that hurt by the algo change. As it was, we only received about 10% of our traffic from Facebook as it is. So even that percentage, I think the algos, they're saying impacts publishers by about 50% of their traffic. So that's a pretty small hit for us.
Was this because you weren't good at Facebook, or is it a strategic decision?
I think it was a little bit of both. No, I mean, we were decent at Facebook, but we just didn't put all our eggs in that basket. We publish a lot of content there. We obviously get a good amount of traffic from there, but we do much better with SEO and just general organic growth. The interesting stat that I just found out is we we have seen a slight decline in the stories that we publish on Facebook. And we were in Instant Articles. We pulled out of that about a month ago. We're on Watch. We've got about 5 videos that they bought. We've actually seen an uptick since the algo change. I just learned this today. We've seen an uptick in user-shared content from our properties.
So why did you ditch Instant Articles? I think I know, but I want to.
Yeah, it just wasn't doing what it claimed to do for publishers. I don't think there was. There was that. There was a data piece, but it wasn't doing what Facebook had said it would do for us.
Do you think Facebook is committed to that product?
I think they were committed to that product. I don't work. I'm not the guy. It's above my pay grade who works directly with Facebook on this. But from what I can tell, they're still vested in it, but not as vested as they once were. And I think a lot of publishers are pulling out. So for them to keep sustaining that, they need content.
Yeah, they should either fix it or just kill it. I think they should just kill it.
Not going to disagree.
So direct is still important, right?
Absolutely.
Direct traffic.
Absolutely.
What percentage come direct?
Gosh, it's an interesting mix. I would say well north of 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's high. We have a pretty loyal audience. Again, from the name brand with New York, we've gotten to grow, and we do a really solid job of cross-promoting across our sites. So we've got that audience. We bring them onto the other sites, but then we still need all the other outlets as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you never pivoted to video. You guys were always very cautious with video.
You
do video. You do video, absolutely.
We do video. We're just, I think we recognize that there are different ways of approaching video. So we jumped right on the bandwagon and we said, look, video is going to be the next big thing. We started creating video that would perform well on Facebook, and it was performing really well.
Newsfeed video, text?
Newsfeed, mostly newsfeed video, yeah.
Okay.
But we recognized quickly that the audience that we were getting from those videos wasn't the audience that we typically get from our organic growth. And we said, this isn't our audience. They weren't very sticky at all. And we pivoted from that model to something that was more organic with how we actually publish our content. So it was more in line, more with the same DNA, the way that we tell our stories.
Like what's an example of the kind of newsfeed type video that you're like,
yeah,
this might not be the brand, or like Adam Moss might say, I don't know if we should be doing this.
It's exactly what Adam Moss said. So we were doing, there's one video that went viral. It was these artists, and it was amazing. It was amazing content, and it worked really well on Facebook, where you had these artists, you guys have probably seen it, they're painted in these different colors, and you go on Facebook, and you see this newsfeed, this kind of chameleon crossing the screen with a black background, and then the chameleon kind of unravels itself to be these 3 people who are painted in these different colors. So it was like humans creating different shapes and animals. And that's really cool, but it's not the serious type of content that we traditionally cover on New York Media or New York Maagzine or any of our sites.
So you're not doing the weird product review videos? No, I'm going to ask Pete Spandy about those.
We do some of that. I think it's really, it's depending on which site. So what we're going to do with Vulture is going to be a lot different than Cut, which is much different than New York. But what we did pivot to was saying, let's do stuff that's actually talking to our readers. It's the type of content they want. We did this thing called Face Race, where we basically had our beauty editor bring in top talent makeup artists, and they would put a look on the screen, and they had to sit there and within 7 minutes or less, complete the look, and whoever did it better won. That went viral, and that was more, again, organic to who we are as a brand.
Do you make money off that?
We do, yeah. And the way that we're making money is it's not via pre-roll on that stuff. It's more of a sponsored model where we say, brand, you can sponsor this for X amount of dollars, and you'll own that content.
Okay, so Facebook Watch.
Okay.
Is this successful for you?
I think we're still in the testing and learning phase. We put together 5 videos for them. It's performing pretty well. We've sold ads against it, but I think it's still early days to understand whether or not it's going to be a successful model for us.
So TBD.
TBD on Watch,
okay.
Yeah. I'm not pro, and I'm not against.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a publisher who's completely in on Facebook last night, and this publisher was saying, don't be obsessed with Watch. Watch can go away tomorrow. It doesn't really matter, but Facebook can't lose video, so they have to figure it out.
They have to figure it out, yeah. And I think we're in that boat also.
Yeah.
But again, just I think, fortunately, because we are more of a legacy brand and we have that portfolio, we're not as reliant on Facebook to make or break our business.
So one more thing on the audience side before we get to the fun stuff with the revenue. Apple News came up quite a bit And it seems that a lot of publishers are seeing really good audience. This is like a story that continues to repeat itself. Seeing really nice audience numbers on Apple News, and of course, little to no monetization.
Yep. Today, I think that's going to change. From all the conversations that we're having with Apple, our audience numbers have been impressive. We're not counting it towards ComScore yet, but the usership is solid and the engagement's solid. We haven't even started or approached the ad model business with that, so we're not pumping ads in. But what I like about Apple News is that they are open to helping us monetize in every way possible. We'll be able to put display in there. We'll be able to put custom content, branded content in there. They're going to allow us to open up programmatic within Apple News. So I think they're
so they are going to do that, because that's a big complaint.
From everything that we've heard so far, they're going to allow programmatic as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, are they good on the partnership front? I mean, one of the things that was discussed a lot at Moguls is, some of the platforms are really not that good on the publisher partnership front.
Yeah. Well, one in particular is not very good because they change things all the time. But it's really early days with Apple. I mean, really early days. So from everything that we've seen so far, they've been very receptive. They've been forthcoming, and they're trying to prove that they are going to be flexible for ad products within. So it also doesn't hurt that a former editor from New York Magazine is now overseeing Apple News. So that's not a bad thing, but so that helps us. We have that in, but so far so good.
Okay, so let's talk about the revenue portfolio. How do you break it down?
So my purview is advertising
and as many
revenue.
Specific numbers as you want.
Sure, I'll give you as many specific percentages as I can. My purview is advertising. It's advertising across print. It's advertising across all of our digital properties. It's advertising across our sponsorships. So we have an experiential division of our company. It's revenue that comes in through third-party partnerships, such as Taboola, in this case, is who our content rec partner is, and it's also revenue that comes in from programmatic.
Okay, so how does it break out?
The large majority of our revenue today is, and I would say if we look at ad revenue specifically between print and digital, the large majority today is digital. So we're nearly at 70%. About 65% of our
Okay,
revenues.
are you actively trying to, I mean, a lot of people are trying to diversify away from being ad dependent.
I think a diverse portfolio of revenue is important. We are ad dependent, and fortunately that's a good business for us. But at the same time, the subscription model is important to us as well.
But your subscription model right now is a print subscription model.
Print subscription model. We're evaluating whether or not it makes sense to put a paywall or metered paywall or any kind of paywall up.
So I'm sure a lot of publishers who do not have some kind of paywall are actively on the same journey.
Yep.
So explain what you're looking at to figure out. Are you looking at it brand by brand?
Yep. Exactly. I mean, I don't think a paywall is for everyone. It's like that quote that you just threw up from the Times. I think for a lot of legacy, more news-focused media, it makes a lot of sense. We happen to have that through New York Magazine and Daily Intelligencer, which is our political content. I think across,
but Grub Street, it's tough in food. There's a lot of food content out there.
But maybe we wouldn't throw a paywall up there.
Right.
And the way we diversify and the way that we differentiate our food content from others is Grub Street is local. It's New York. So unless you visit New York often, or if you're a former New Yorker, you're probably not going to find that much interest in Grub Street. But we have a heavy concentration in the DMA that we're focused on.
Okay, how about commerce? I mean, because you do commerce, and a lot of publishers are looking to commerce, whether it becomes something more than incremental, TBD.
I'm proud to say it's a multi-million-dollar business for us and growing by leaps and bounds.
Is that all Amazon affiliate?
It's the majority. You can say all, it's not all. It is large majority Amazon affiliate.
Okay.
I think for us, the model was, we know that people like buying shit on our sites. So we have this editorial just proficiency and expertise where they happen over 50 years to say, hey, this is, if you're looking at a certain category, this is the cool stuff to buy within. They've always done product reviews and recommendations and everything else. And sure enough, when people read reviews, they want to either book their reservation or buy something. So we started seeing across the sites, we started putting buy buttons on there based on reader requests saying, hey, how do I find this? So we allowed them, hey, here's easy access, just hit buy. And then we saw so much purchasing going on across our sites, we said, why don't we actually take this and essentially aggregate it in one site, which we did, and we built the Strategist. The Strategist has been around for a little bit over a year, close to a year and a half. We've seen 200% growth in users and uniques, and we've seen 4x or 400% revenue growth in that year and a half.
Can you say how much in transactions you're driving?
I can say multi-millions of dollars in transactions without being specific.
One of the things that came up with all this rush to build commerce was that, like anything, there'll just be like too much of it out there and its effectiveness will wane.
Yep. It's possible. There's not that much risk there for us. I think our editors are really staunch about church and state, right? And I think that's, again, a positive differentiation of how we look at ourselves versus our competitive set, particularly some of the new media that's come out. I can't sell native ads on our commerce site. So I would love to be able to go to Estee Lauder and some of the fashion brands and all these other companies that we work with and say, hey, we're going to create a branded content and create this native experience within our commerce site, where as you're scrolling through these wonderful recommendations and these reviews, there'll be a review on the latest mascara with a buy button that you paid for, and it'll be labeled and it will be fully transparent. Our editors won't have it. They really feel like it has to be the consumer reports, if you will, of commerce.
So they're not looking at the commerce data first and then moving into editorial. It's editorial and then add the commerce. Because people have different ways of doing this.
They do. It's pretty much our outlook across everything that we do. It's always user first. Okay. Which, by the way, as a guy who runs revenue, there are a lot of ways. I can turn the dial on certain widgets and modules and put new ad placements on pages and crank the revenue up pretty quickly. But they won't allow me to do it because they do believe in the user-first experience. I believe in that model also, and it's working for us.
So I want to open it up to questions. We have a couple of microphones. You can ask the first question of the Digiday Publishing Summit.
Do you use a Vont link too, in addition to Amazon?
I didn't hear the question.
Do you use a Vont link in addition to Amazon
No.
affiliate?
Nope.
Okay. It's a specific question.
We're trying. My hopes are high.
Anyone else? No?
Someone back there.
Oh, she's going back there.
Knowing that you own a bunch of brands, how much does audience extension come into play for you still?
What was the question? Audience extension.
Audience extension.
Yeah, like how much is audience extension still a strategy for you? Are you doing offsite delivery programmatically? Or
not to my knowledge, which maybe I should know, but that's not in my purview, so I actually have no idea. Probably. I could get back to you on that.
But do you hear that much from marketers that they want to extend?
Oh, audience extension in terms of like paid traffic and things like that? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, like extending campaigns to other sites, like Grubstreet visitors, but Hotmail.
Are you talking about consumers, or are you talking about advertising extension? So if we run a campaign and we need to meet impression guarantees and things like that.
Either hitting scale or reaching performance goals, but offsite and then combining with your first-party data.
So we do some of that, but pretty minimally. It's pretty minimal. So if we need to buy traffic, if we need to hit an impression guarantee or something of the like on a piece of content or ads that we ran, then we'll do it. Otherwise, not too much.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes.
So data is interesting. It's always like the elephant in the room, and everyone says they have so much data. I think for our brands, look, we do about just north of 40 million uniques online. The way that we're using data is we're trying to figure out what the touch points are between the commerce that we're now seeing and our content. So I think when we're working with brands, for example, and through our content studio, what I think is really compelling is we can give them first-party data telling them, here's what we know that our users are buying. We also know that those users who are buying from this category, A, B, or C, they're also reading content from this category A, B, and C. And there's always a direct link. Like if they bought a fashion product, they're obviously reading about fashion content, but it's the second and third, they're also reading about travel and they're reading about food. And if we can take that and now help them create compelling content or compelling ads that'll work across our sites, that's pretty powerful. And we've started to do that and seen some early success.
Okay.
How are you collecting the data? Or is that
Well, it's first party. I mean, we have it, we know every single person who's bought, via cookie or otherwise.
DMG or whatever?
Right now it's via cookies, but they're all our users, so it's pretty transparent.
Okay, we're out of time.
Great.
Avi, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.